Hello and welcome to a third videos, again to continue our discussion about introduction to databases using Microsoft Access. As you noticed from the previous video that we entered two records, we had Egypt and Java programming as a books or title for books, and then we ended up saying that we need to have a different way of entering the data. Of course, there is a much better way of entering the data for two good reasons. The first, if I let people actually play with my tables, they could easily go ahead and change the view to data design, and they click on something like the date, and they could go ahead and click the right button here and delete my row, and that will mess up completely my tables, and it's going to mess up everything actually built on the table. Every other thing's form, queries, and reports going to be built on the top of the table. Tables are foundational, so we need to make sure that in the real world, when we actually build a database, to give the user another place to enter the data, which is called form. This is actually the second reason that form are much easier, much more convenient, and they look a lot better. So what we're going to do here is to close the table here, and I'm going to close it, and I'm going to go to the create, and luckily for us in 2010 they moved the form wizard to an obvious place, clear place, and I'm going to click on here to create the form through the wizard. So when we do the wizard, use the wizard, there's very little work really on our part. And if you notice here, I have only my table books, and that's the only table that I have, so it's okay for me to go ahead and move everything that I want to include in the form. Notice that all these attributes or field name need to be there in order for me to enter the data. And I'm going to choose columnar versus tabular. Columnar is really the ability of having to see all the data pertaining to one record per page. One page, the whole page rather, fully used to display one record, which is a lot easier to see that. So we're going to say next, and we're going to take a deep breath at this moment and change the name from TBL, not to confuse it, and I'm going to actually call it FRM. It will be much easier for us to see it here. So when I see TBL, I know this is, I'm going to deal with a table. When I see FRM, because I chose to name it, I'm dealing with a form. Of course, after a long usage of databases like Access, you become familiar with the different icon that represent those, but until that time we need to rename them accordingly. And here's my form. It's, as you look, everything is inherited from the table, even the drop menu that we had put it into the table. The hard copy is much better to enter it that way. And you notice the date is already, since we use actually 50 for the book ISB number, or maybe more, so it gave us actually different arrows. And as you notice here in the bottom here, we have the navigation bar. This will take me to the first record. Let's not really restrict our imagination to two records. Let's assume that we have 2,000 of those, and this is the last record. And of course I could go one record down, or I could use this one here to go ahead and give me this one to give me a new screen to add another records. One thing I wanted to do before I added three more records, go ahead and change the look of the screen. So I wanted to go ahead and to the view, and due to the layout, this is going to give me a really better way of changing my, even the form is going to be called FRM book here, but the title is going to change to whatever I want to change it to. So I'm going to call it here data entry for our list of books, or my list of books. See here, not only this, I could go ahead and make this a little bit bigger if I want, even change the color. See here, I could go ahead and go back to the home and make this one here. Okay, here I need to go ahead and make a mistake. Of course I could go ahead and do, but notice here, if I want to make this bold, I could do that. I could make the So I could really be creative in everything I want to do when it comes to this decoration through the layout. I could go back to the form view, meaning I'm ready to go ahead and enter another record, which is the third record here. So let's go ahead and put here, let's say here economics or microeconomics. And let's say here 0000000. Of course, I need to put E1, and the date of publication is 07/05/2009, and hit the tab to go. The price is $120, and the hardcover will say yes, and the subject is social science. And that's going to give me 3 records so far, and I'm going to add another one. Let's go ahead and put macroeconomics. And ISBN number must be different, of course. Here we go. And we're going to say here date of publication is 06/03/20, say 10. And the price, let's say 123.98. And the hardcover will say yes. And the subject will be another political science. So we have so far 4 books. The 5th book, I'm going to go ahead and put it as a science fiction. Let's say here, Runaway. And this is, again, is okay, and date of publication. And you will tell me now, see here, when I don't put that correctly, it will catch me with any mistake. Say here, the price is $14.50, and it's not hardcover, and the subject, I could put it, I don't have to choose out of those 3 options. I could add my own, so I could go ahead and say science fiction. And now if I could go ahead and show you, if I close this form, which it's really used, say, okay, of course, change some of the aspects. It's going to ask me if I wanted to save the changes. I said yes, please. So we're going to go ahead and see when I click on the table after I close the form that we do have all the data that I entered. And this is extremely helpful to see the relationship between the form as a better way of entering the data and the table that is going to represent actually the container to where the data are going to reside. I'm going to stop here, and I'm going to do another video where we're going to see how to use the query, and after that how to move whatever we found in the query by reporting that to the people who wants to see the result. Thank you for watching, and look up for the 4th video. Thanks.